Testing your body fat percentage is a great way to keep track of your progress on your fitness journey, and I think it's a much better metric for health and fitness over something like BMI, or also known as body mass index. Now, the accuracy of your test will vary between which form of test you choose, and I'm going to get more into that later in this video, but stay tuned all the way to the end to find out why the accuracy of the test might not be as important as you think. So today's video, we're looking at body fat percentages. As a personal trainer, I've done a few body fat tests. I should say a few hundred body fat tests on people. So I think I have some pretty good ground to stand on here. And I already know what these comment sections are going to look like. It's going to say things like, you shouldn't be using that type of test, you should be doing this one, or that's not accurate, you should do it this way. You might be right. There are a lot of different ways to test body fat percentage. Some are more accurate than others, and I'm going to try to defend the best I can the reasons I choose certain tests. But first, let's look at why testing your body fat percentage is important. Like I said earlier, this is a great way to track your progress. Unlike BMI, we can tell the difference between muscle and fat. And we know that BMI is flawed for someone that holds more muscle mass. It'll show that they are overweight or out of shape. Or for someone who holds very little muscle mass and has a high body fat percentage, can also fall within normal ranges. The two most common types of body fat percentage tests you'll see in a gym or a fitness facility are these right here. This is a skin fold caliper. This tool calculates body fat percentage by pinching a few separate locations, and it uses a formula to calculate where exactly your body fat percentage is. And next we have a bioelectrical impedance. This will calculate body fat percentage by sending an impulse through your body, and it moves slower through fat. So when the impulse comes back, it can calculate your body fat percentage roughly. Now, you don't feel anything, but this is the same way your home scale might calculate body fat percentage. But I first want to dive more into the skin fold caliper. The controversy that comes in with the skin fold caliper is behind the test site. There's a multitude of pinch points, anywhere between 3, 4, 5, 7, and 9. It would make sense that the more pinch sites lead to more accurate results, and for the most part, I would probably agree with that. But when I personally measure body fat percentage, I use the 3-point site, and there's a few reasons for that, and they are as follow. The first is, if you ever try to measure your own body fat percentage, it's pretty difficult to get to your own back. So that pretty much eliminates every one of the other pinch sites except for the 3. And the second point is that this is less awkward and doesn't bother people as much. You can see me taking a pinch at my own thigh here. So I think it's pretty understandable how this can be slightly uncomfortable, and the more pinch sites that you use, the more uncomfortable you might make someone. And the third is that this is still an accurate way to track your progress. Yes, a higher number of pinch sites might be more accurate, and if you maybe hold fat in a certain area that does get tested, those numbers might be slightly skewed. At the end of the day, we can still track your progress and see what type of body fat percentage losses you have made. Now, there is a learning curve when it comes to using the skin fold caliper. It is challenging sometimes to get a pinch on someone and actually separate the fat. So when it comes to people like that, I recommend using the bioelectrical impedance. Now, I already explained how it worked with sending an impulse through. All you have to do is set your height, your weight, your age, your sex. Then using a firm grip, it will calculate your body fat percentage. Now, I like to test a few times so I can get a more accurate average. Sometimes you'll notice it'll be off 0.5% or a whole percent, or it'll be right on. These numbers can vary because of factors like hydration status, if you just ate, if you consume sodium, or maybe if you're bloated. Since it's measuring an impulse, it makes a lot of sense that we can affect the numbers based on increases in water levels and some of those variables I just mentioned. Now, I don't want to get too deep into how these tools work. If you guys want to see a full-length video on that, let me know in the comments. And these are actually surprisingly cheap. I put a link in the description to Amazon for these exact ones that I purchased, so go ahead, check that out if you're interested. Now, there are a lot of other ways you can test this stuff, and something like a DEXA scan is a much more accurate way to test body fat percentage. DEXA scans are used medically to help calculate bone density for people, but they're also effective tools to calculate more accurately body fat percentage. But once again, like every other tool, it's not perfect. So there are other ways to calculate body fat percentage, but they're a little bit more intense, and I don't want to get too deep into those because it really doesn't matter for that many people. For the average person that's just trying to track their fitness progress, these tools should be sufficient. Anyone that needs a DEXA scan or anything more accurate might be someone like a bodybuilder or someone maybe that's dealing with health concerns. For the average person, if you're tracking over 2 or 3 months, maybe doing your body fat test every week with your bioelectrical impedance, developing a pattern can provide you with a more accurate picture of where your true body fat percentage is. Now, what is a good body fat percentage? So that's something we're going to turn to the American Council on Exercise for. So on screen here, you can see ACE's recommendation, and I would argue that that fitness range is probably the most realistic and healthiest on average. For most women, striving for that 21 to 24% range would be best, and for men, that 14 to 17% range. Now, if you're in those higher body fat percentages, just remember that that's okay, and the only way to address that, and you're already watching this video, is to take one day at a time. Start working out, start eating better, and if you guys are looking for more tips, right up here I have another video that YouTube recommends for you of my content. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found some value. If you did, smash that like button, and if you want to see more of my content, consider subscribing, and we'll see you guys in next week's video. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time.